Just setting up the live stream, won't be long. Okay, I think we're pretty much good to go. So today we're going to be looking at airfields around the south of England in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we can have a look at the map. We can see the basic route we're going to be following all over the place. So we're starting off at Turweston, down to Oxford, then over to Wycombe, and then Denham, Elstree, Stapleford, Thurrock, Lydd, Shoreham, way down into the corner, into the Solent airfield there, and then over to Farnborough, Fair Oaks, Red Hill, Biggin Hill, and I think that's the end, isn't it? Biggin Hill, yeah. So it should be good fun. So without further ado, let's go and have a look around Turweston. So this is made by Burning Blue, I think. So we've got our little Vans RV-14 down here. So this is us. This is our aeroplane we'll be using for the rest of today. But let's go and have a look around the airfield, shall we? Let's see what they've modelled. So the first thing I'm noticing straight away about the Burning Blue Designs scenery is they've introduced animated people, which make quite a difference. So they're no longer completely static. So you can see the girl there is moving ever so gently. It's not overdone, but it's quite cool. Okay, so if we carry on around the airfields, have a look. So obviously there's service buildings and hangars down this end. I think the animated figures extend to everybody in the scenery. I don't think they're using static figures at all anymore. So if we come back up this way, we're coming towards the main building here. It's coming as if we were arriving by car. Some nice motorbikes parked outside. But yeah, the quality of their people models are a level up from everybody else. So if we go up the stairs, if we can guide, this is a test of my camera skills, which are not the best sometimes. I probably need to turn the speed of the camera down a little bit. There we go, that's better. It's quite cool, isn't it? It makes a difference. So if we go out onto the balcony, it's very good as well that obviously the children have different animations than the adults. So it's not just a rote animation. So we go higher up. So this is Turweston, remember. I've never actually been to this airfield, so I couldn't tell you how accurate it is, but I presume it's very, very accurate. Should we see what's on their weather? Oh, they've not actually got any data on it. That's a shame. It's mad though, isn't it? Look, there's a right down to the froth in the cup of coffee. Okay, just before we go out to the flight line, let's go and have a nose around inside this hangar and see what's in here. Because it's a shame that they model these things and no one ever actually goes and looks. There's a yak. Oh my word. So it's always worth having a poke around in these airports, isn't it? To go and see what's in them. Right, over to our aeroplane finally. So it's parked over here on the ground. So let's see how we're going to get on today. So back inside the aeroplane. Let's have a look at the wind. So there's a couple of knots of wind, there's hardly any wind. I've set the weather in the simulator to partly cloudy. Or scattered cloud, I think it's called. So we can take off runway 09, we won't have far to taxi out. We won't need all the runway here either. So we could go round. Is there a way round? No, there isn't a way round there. So anyway, can we remember how to start this aeroplane up? So fully rich on the mixture. Go and select a tank for the fuel. And now we need to remember how to do this. So we want we've got nav lights there, strobe lights, so nav lights on. So battery to normal, and then there's the AV. I'm just checking the switches here. So alternator can come on. I'm just going to change the sound so I can hear it. Okay, we can hear the engine, so let's go and pull the canopy down. And lock it. The master switch is on. Put the power on for the autopilot. We won't need the fuel pump. And the strobe light's not until we get to the runway. Taxi light can come on. We should already have the route programmed, and we have, which is good. So I don't believe we get to choose. I think I have to actually add a specific add-on to get the TDS. So we've got the lesser GTN 750, the PMS, which is fine. Okay, can we go for one screen on this? Yes, we can. So I'm guessing you do that and then go full. Yeah, there we go. Because we've got the map over here, we don't need it on both. So let's go 100% on the propeller and run it up to 1000 RPM. Parking brake is on. Let me just check the volume levels for you so you can hear me over the top of the engine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, parking brake off. Oh, actually, it's always worth testing this actually to run onto the grass to see if you get any sounds, and we do. So let's just backtrack. You know, I might go and change the weather because we're here to have a look at these airfields. Let's go and put it on few clouds so you get a bit brighter view of the airfield. Windsock over there. So it's been a while since I've been in the RV-14. It's going to be fun. So full throttle. Pull back gently, no flaps required. It's fixed gear. So let's go and turn around and do a loop around Turweston to have a look at it from the air before we carry on. Half the reason for picking this aeroplane is because the visibility is so good out of it while doing circuits. And it's very good on fuel economy as well, so it will do this whole trip no trouble. It's a hell of a solar farm at Turweston, isn't it? Okay, so let's have a look at the route. Get some speed on and climb. So we're just coming up towards 1,000 feet. Just trimming the aeroplane out. So just put the autopilot on. So you can see it's come up AP up here. So while it's busy doing that, let's have a look at some of the controls we get. So we've got heading is the inner knob here. So let's turn the head tracking off for a moment. So you've got HSI obviously down here. So we can't press the heading to center it, so we have to go and do this by hand, which is fine. I'm going to go and change the CDI mode to GPS. So it will obviously help us along the way. So we can change the nav mode to nav, and the aeroplane is going to bank left. We'll go for altitude hold as well. And we're on our way. As I said, the visibility in the RV-14 is brilliant. So Monty is asking, are they going to show any more of 2024 before November? You're asking the wrong person. I have no advanced knowledge of 2024. I never have any communications with Asobo. So yeah, you're asking the wrong person, I'm afraid. Okay, so as you can see, we are en route now to Oxford Kidlington. So we'll do the same trick there. We'll go and line up and land, and then we'll come in and have a look around. So we've got unclear visibility today. I'm just wondering where that is. It's obviously a disused airfield. Hardly. So if we pull this up on Google Maps. Oh, it's up at Hayford. It was a US Air Force base. It's been disused for many years now. So you can see there's lots of cars stored there, and it's probably used for parking for airports and things like that. And there's several industrial units obviously on where the base used to be. Okay, we're heading towards Oxford, across the rolling English countryside. Should we have a look from outside the aeroplane? Oh, we appear to have no pilot. Oh, there he is. We didn't put all the lights on, did we? Let's go and fix that while we're on our way. So strobes should be on. We'll leave the landing lights on. I'm not sure we need pitot heat. Where's the outside air temperature? Does this give us it? I'm not sure that it does on an instrument, but it's probably a dial somewhere. Or a gauge, I should say. Typically you don't need pitot heat unless... Well, we can play with this in this aircraft. I don't know if you've ever seen this. It's got a sunshade. We'll move it out of the way for the moment. Okay, so you can see Oxford coming. So what we're going to do is scoot across. Actually, I've not done this in the simulator before, but when we leave Oxford, we'll go and have a look around the city of Oxford, because it's modelled really nicely in the simulator. I actually grew up near Oxford, so this is part of the world that I used to know. So I'm just going to side slip this to lose some speed. Whoa, look at it side slip. The speed fell off like a... Of course, it's such a short aeroplane and it's got a massive tail, so you can side slip it crazily. So although I call this Oxford Airport, it's actually labelled Kidlington, and the labelling or the branding of the airport is London Oxford, which is crazy because London's like 70 miles away. Here we'll just roll out long on the runway, and then follow the taxiway back in to the main buildings. So this is the Pilot Plus version of Kidlington Airport or Oxford, or London Oxford, depending on which branding version you want to go with. Let's just call it Oxford Airport, hey? It's right next to Oxford. Yeah, if I'd given it a bit more thought with the RV-14, I would have got one of the variants that's got the TDS avionics kit built in. I went with the basic one, and it doesn't. It has the PMS GTN 750 in it. Oh, hello, someone's just spawned in an A330. Here we go again. I may have to turn off multiplayer because we're supposed to be showing the airports, and people are going to keep spawning in aircraft I don't have or liveries I don't have, and they get crazy substitutions, and it just makes it all look crazy. So I'll quickly show you how you can do that as well, how you can temporarily switch off multiplayer. So let's just go and put ourselves on a parking spot. Okay, I'll leave the engine ticking over. So if you want to remove multiplayer, all you have to do is go into General Options in Flight Simulator, go to Data, and turn off the multiplayer data. Obviously, when you turn it back on, they'll reappear. But just for the moment, we want to be able to have a look around the airport without having A330s hovering in mid-air around us. So I'll leave our little aeroplane here, and let's go and have a look around at Oxford Airport. It's done really nicely. Yeah, here's the new branding, look. New corporate branding. London Oxford Airport. And they've done a lot of the ancillary buildings on the site, so it does look really good. It's good, isn't it? It's very, very good. Trees in amongst the buildings. Some of the nearby industrial units have also been modelled accurately. So if we turn ourselves around, most of the industrial park is part of the airport scenery. So you've got things like Maxwell Communications, or what used to be Maxwell Communications 30 years ago, is here. If we come over and have a look around, in amongst the buildings, you can see it's really, really well done. Okay, spin around. The interior of several of the hangars is done as well nicely, as you can see there. Let's come back over to our little aeroplane and we'll get back off on our way. So the next stop for us is going to be Wycombe Air Park, which you've seen me fly from before, but I've not actually gone poking around the airfield much in the past to show you it. Before we go, let's just go and have a look up inside the tower and see if they've modelled the interior of the tower. Looks like they have. So I'm just trying to slow the drone camera down a little bit. Yeah, so they've gone into extreme detail in here, look. It's really cool when you do that, isn't it? Oh, we got an advert for Absolute Radio over there as well. It's a very good radio station, by the way. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, sorry. My other half just came in asking if I was busy. Okay, let's jump back out to the aeroplane. And we're going to get on our way from Oxford and fly over to Wycombe Air Park. So this is the Pilot Plus version of Oxford available for the sim. You can get it from various places. Okay, parking brake off. And we'll go back out the way we came in because there's no wind, so we don't have to play any games with runways. There's the cows, DA14, 42, sorry. Whoa, here we go, kamikaze forklift drivers, ahoy. The Vans RV-14 is such a good little aeroplane for going sightseeing and just, you know, like doing short trips. So back out to the runway at Oxford. And we're on our way again. So hold the centre line, rotate. Oh, it wants a bit more power during the climb. Okay, let's give it. So, right turn. Now I promised to go and have a little look at Oxford before we carry on, didn't I? So let's go and do an orbit of the city. Won't go too high. Just have a little look on the map as well. This is just Kidlington, yeah. So we're going to carry on down in a moment to Oxford. So this is why it's called Oxford Kidlington Airport. So even these smaller towns have kind of been given the treatment on the recent UK updates. You can see Oxford spread out over there, look. So we're going to carry on further on. There must have been some sort of government grant scheme with the solar panels, mustn't there? It's quite amusing. So there's the park and ride. For anyone visiting Oxford, so you don't have to actually try and get a parking space. Oxford is one of the most expensive places to park in the country, I think. Oh, that's unfortunate. It's doing tiling. So what's it pulling in? It's doing it incorrectly, isn't it? It's throwing away the photogrammetry and putting the low-res tiles in. Oh my word. Well done, Asobo. I think you've got a bit of a problem to sort out. Because it should be really high quality photogrammetry. It's stopped doing it now, look, it's behaving itself now. It's so frustrating when things like that happen. But the photogrammetry is not loading by the look of it. I think there's a few scenery issues going on this morning. It is loading in, but it's just not keeping up. The thing is, I have 500 megabit. That's not going to be down to me. You can see when it's given enough time, it comes in really nicely. I think it's just a few server issues going on today. Yeah, look. Once it's had a few moments, the photogrammetry is very, very high quality. I think we're kind of getting an early glimpse of the 2024 level photogrammetry. Obviously, it depends on the source data that they've got. It doesn't help that we've got a cloud right in the way of the sun by the look of it that's casting a shadow over the city, so you're not getting to see the universities. So you can see Oxford University. And there's the Radcliffe camera, which you'll recognise that from programmes like Morse, where they're often walking around there while they're talking on camera, and Endeavour as well. So Morse was set in Oxford. But yeah, all of these squares, they're all colleges. So when people talk about Oxford University is actually a constellation of many colleges. Okay, let's go back on our way to Wycombe. So we'll intercept the flight plan on the way. So we have a look on the map. We've just gone to the south, so we'll come back across over the top of Wheatley and go into Wycombe towards the air park. Well, we would if we don't suddenly crash. So let's go and put this on nav mode and it will intercept automatically for us. So we'll go altitude hold as well. There we go. Yeah, the level of scenery around here is great, isn't it? So, this is where the scenery is a little bit out of date. I think that's the remnants of Didcot Power Station over there to the south of Oxford. But the towers have actually been removed now, as far as I was aware. It was done a few years ago. So the scenery is a little bit out of date here and there, but you can't really complain, can you? It covers the entire planet. So Wycombe's next. In 7 minutes time, apparently. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Once you get used to the better, or the TDS GTN 750, the PMS one is quite a poor cousin of it, really. So David Cleary is saying, "Hi JB, have you ever been to Cambridge for parking?" I think everywhere's expensive these days, isn't it? I just remember back in the day, and this was 20 years ago. I haven't been back to Oxford much for the last 20 years, but beyond that, Oxford was horrific even 20 years ago. They obviously didn't want people to park in the city. So that's why they had the park and ride scheme around the outside of Oxford. So you could go and leave your car and then travel in on the bus. Okay, we're about halfway there, over to Wycombe. It's not very far. So, I guess we're going to go for runway 24. Just looking at the wind, it's coming in gently from the southwest. So there is the normal pattern follows, if we zoom out slightly, there's a house. So if you look at the main road, it comes across, and then there's an industrial estate here. And there's, the Hellfire Caves, there's a house here. So the normal pattern comes along here, turns right to avoid the road, the main road there, the Wycombe Road, and then goes 90 degrees obviously to the wrong way, over the industrial estate, so you just touch the edge of the industrial estate here, and then you turn in towards runway 24. So we should, if we came in at 1,000 feet over the Hellfire Caves, then we can drop to 500 and then pull in. Or should I say we should come in at 1,500 feet. The ground level here is about 500. So we want to be looking for the Hellfire Caves. So if we come off the autopilot, oh, look at that, the sim's frozen again. It's being a so-and-so recently, there's obviously issues going on with the servers. I was doing a group flight the other night and several of us had the sim freeze at exactly the same moment as each other, which points towards we were using the same server blade as each other. Just heading towards, there's a house called with a golden ball on its roof that is a visual reference point for the Wycombe circuit. It's the only reason I know about it is because I live near there and I've done videos about the circuit at Wycombe. It's quite an interesting one because there's a lot to take in, because it has noise abatement rules as part of the circuit. So, you know, you kind of have to thread a needle with the aeroplane between small villages full of wealthy people who love to spend half their day ringing up the airport to complain. And will. Okay, I think this is the house here that we can just see coming. Could be over here. It's difficult to see from this side because the trees are in the way. Maybe it's further away than we think. It's got like an octagonal walled garden outside of it. A little bit high, but that's fine. Yeah, it was further away than I thought it was. Actually over here. As I said, it's difficult. At low altitude, it's quite difficult to pick things out, isn't it? So there's the industrial estate. There's the main road. Starting to be able to resolve what we're looking for. There's the Hambledon Valley back over there. Yeah, here we go. So there's the road, the one we turned before crossing. The house is here in the trees. From this side you can see the house more clearly on approach, and because I think I've got the Orbx scenery installed, which improves the resolution of the house and gives it the ball on the roof. So hopefully if we come over it quite low, what are we at the moment? Just under 1500 feet. Yeah, here's the octagonal, oh sorry, hexagonal walled garden. There's the roof and there's the ball. So we'll just hang on and see that as it comes out the other side of the wing. There it is, look. So then we turn 135. Towards the industrial estate, and we drop for 1,000 feet. And you'll see over to our right in a moment, we've actually lost that height remarkably quickly. And there's the airfield. So you can see we're at the right height because I came down too early. We're at the right height for the VASI lights already. So you'll have seen Wycombe a lot on my channel in the past. This is the Pilot Plus version of Wycombe Air Park. It's very good. See, we've just drifted low. So just increase the throttle there and don't really change the attitude. That lifts us back out. Okay, let's go and scoot sideways onto the grass, taxi in on the grass, go and park up, and we're going to have a nose around the buildings, which I haven't done at Wycombe for a long time. It's really nicely modelled. So let's go and park up. I'll at least turn the lights off while we're sat here, hey? Strobe lights can stay off. Okay, so let's go and have a nose around Wycombe. Straighten the camera up. So Wycombe Air Park does actually have a cafe. I'm not sure if you can see how well it is modelled here. I don't know if it's got the interior modelled. We'll get there in a moment. Obviously there's outside seating. Yeah, I don't think they've modelled the interior of the cafe. But then you obviously got the tower. And that has been modelled. Apparently it's famous in the GA community for its bacon butties. Has a very well regarded bacon sandwich at Wycombe Air Park. But you can see again that the ancillary buildings around the airfield have been modelled really nicely. Be interesting to see actually, because the main road comes past on the other side of the trees. There it is there, look. And there's a garden centre just down the road. I wonder if they've modelled that. Doesn't look like. If we just go into the air, obviously you'll see the edge of Wycombe there as well. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, to see how well integrated airfields are into their surroundings. Sometimes they're done really well, sometimes not so well. Right. It's time to go and jump back down into our aeroplane, isn't it? And carry on to the next airfield. So next airfield on our trip is, well, I'll check when we get to the runway apron. So we're going out to runway 24 to take off. If I can steer there without going cross country. I turned the lights off, didn't I, while I sat there with the engine ticking over. Let's go and turn them back on. Taxi lights, landing lights, strobe lights. To turn to 30 degrees as we come over the boundary of the airfield. Again, noise abatement to avoid these tiny little villages full of wealthy people over here. But we're going to turn away from Wycombe entirely now anyway. And climb out to past 1500, past the circuit height. Okay, so we're going over now to Denham, which I have not seen this version of Denham. This is the Orbx I bought it from Orbx last night, so we'll find out what it's like when we get there. I think it's a burning blue design version, but we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. So let's go and put this back on terrain view so we can actually see clearly where we're going. So we're flying right now, right over my house. My house is in the corner of that green. I'm sat right there controlling the simulator. Let's let the aeroplane reconnect with the route and go to altitude hold as well. Yeah, we're on altitude hold for 1200 feet, so it's just descending down to that. As you can see, it's just cutting across back to the GPS route. And then we go to Denham and go and have a look at it. So it'd be a visual approach, obviously. No idea what we're going to find when we get there, so it's going to be fun. Our first approach into Denham. I think what I might do once we've landed at Denham is actually go back out to the main menu in the simulator and load back in with the TDS, because it is so much better than the PMS unit. So it's worth pointing this out before we get there. So if you memorise, if you've never seen the comparison of both of them, look how this doesn't have an aircraft icon, and it doesn't have a compass rose, and it doesn't project the runway directions out into and out of the airfields. These are all things that the GTN or the real Garmin unit does. Also doesn't give you your glide distance based on current attitude or position. Okay, so we're just coming in towards Denham. The wind's coming from the west here, about 4 knots, so it would make sense to circle the airfield and come in runway 24. So that's exactly what we'll do. So I'll come off autopilot. See the airfield now in the clearing. Just wondering what these buildings are over here. They've even got the gantries now, look, over the motorways. That's interesting. So we're just going downwind. We'll come back in a moment, or we'll turn about in a moment, I should say. A little bit slow there. Whoa, that stutter happened at just the wrong time for us. There we go. So presumably we just taxi across the grass. Worst piece of parking ever seen by an aeroplane ever. Yep, I think I'll get shot for that. So let's go and have a look at Denham then. So there's a tower here. So it's obviously a very small airfield. And has it got the animated people? No, it's got static people. I have to admit, Turweston is the first one I've ever seen with animated people. Let's just turn off the head tracking for a moment so I've got full control. So if we go over to the other side of the airfield, oh, I should have come to this side, shouldn't I? It's got the cafe. Can we see the prices? Excuse me, just going to knock your cheeseburger off. Oh look, yes, we can see the prices. So breakfast £7.50, pizza £6.95, sausage, chips and beans £6.95. That's not bad, is it? How much for a cup of coffee? Doesn't say. Oh, it's stuttering a fair bit trying to load in the assets outside. So let's have a look around the old hangars here at Denham. Oh, they're having a date at the airport by the look of it. He's trying to impress her. Or the airfield, I should say. Oh. Maybe he's saying, I'll just take this piece of rust and put it over here with this other piece of rust. So caravan park. And hangars. Several helicopters parked around the hangars. Okay, so let's go back over to our aeroplane. So obviously it's a very small airfield, but I don't think it would cost very much. So I think the pricing is, certainly at Orbx, is very, in tune with how much you're actually getting. So for the smaller airfields where there aren't as many assets placed, they tend to be a lot cheaper. The question is now, can we get out of here? Without hitting an aeroplane. So if I turn hard right, taxi back over to the runway and get on our way. So next airfield for us, I think, is going to be over by the Harry Potter studio. I'll show you it on the map in a moment. At Leavesden. Hang on a second. So yeah, we're going to leave here on the direction we're pointing, 60 degrees, straight over to Elstree. So the reason I call it the Harry Potter studio is if you look at Elstree and then you go and look sideways over towards, I don't know if it's going to be marked on the map actually. I thought it would have been. I thought it would have been really prominently marked. So obviously you've got Boreham Wood here. Yeah, that's fascinating. I'll point it out when we're in the air. I thought it would have been more obviously marked on the map because it's quite a significant... The studios are quite a significant feature on the ground. Maybe I'm not looking in the right place for it. Anyway. You'll see it soon enough. That sim just did that bug with the throttle, by the way. Did you hear that? The dip in the throttle? It glitched and then the throttle went to 0. Oh, I said I was going to reload the aeroplane, didn't I? We'll do it at Elstree. So to see the studio, if we pull over west of the airfield and approach it from over the top of the buildings, I'll be able to point out what I was talking about. Hopefully. So what we're doing is coming over more towards Watford. Golf course. A good walk ruined, as Mark Twain once wrote. So we can see the airfield, I think, already over there next to the water. I'm just coming over this way to see if we can spot the studios. Is that them over on the far side of the town? think I'd have to dig out a map to be certain of it. So it's marked on the map north of Watford. Okay, let's have a quick look. There it is. Okay, so we are going roughly the right direction, or we were. It's just a bit of a point of interest to break up the journey a bit. So it is going to be the area I was pointing at, I think, earlier. Yeah. So those buildings I was looking at in the distance, that was the studios. Let's just go and have a look. So if you've never been there, it's a great day out. So when they finished making the Harry Potter movies, they basically made the studio safe. Obviously a lot of the props and everything went into storage because they've continued using them to make further movies. But the majority of it, you can go and walk around. So it isn't so much of an experience as something like Disneyland or Disney World. But you're actually seeing the real studio with the real props that we used at the time. There's a huge amount of development going on here, isn't there? So I think it's these two studios are the studio tour. Yeah. There's obviously the parking for it. So that's where Harry Potter was made, and then they converted the studios into basically a museum. And this piece at the back is where Privet Drive and everything was. So you can go and wander around there and look at it all. Right, back on with our journey. We're going roughly the right direction. So we're going to circle over Elstree and then go in, visit, and I'll swap aeroplanes while we're there on the ground. If I remember, I'll put a link to some photographs of my last visit there. I took a friend from the US to visit for the day. I was kind of her chaperone in London, teaching her how the underground worked at the start of her holiday, and went to Harry Potter World with her. That was her main reason for visiting England. Yeah, it was a fun day out. So remember the airfields next to the water over there? So based on the wind, we need to come in at the far end. Okay, so we'll loop around over the water. Heading for speed, just above flap speed, that's fine. You can lose that in the turn. I'm not sure who the developer is of Elstree. I don't want to go and say one developer and get it wrong. I suspect I know, but I'm not entirely sure, so I'm not going to say. Obviously you can get it from Orbx, because they often sell other developers' scenery. One of the great things about the Vans RV-14 is you really can throw it into small airfields. Do kind of Spitfire approaches in. It's very, very good at this sort of, you know, tight approach into a small airfield. Okay, we'll just taxi. There's a turn-off point about 2/3 of the way along the runway, rather than cut across the grass. Flaps back up. Okay, so welcome to Elstree. So a little bit of a taxi around in between the aeroplanes on the way in. There's a lot of aeroplanes here, isn't there? We park in the HM Customs parking space, which you probably would never want to have to park in, but okay, so I'm going to turn everything off. We're about to go and switch aeroplanes, aren't we? So we're not so worried about this aeroplane. So let's have a little look around Elstree. So there's Green's Restaurant here, which has been modelled. Poolies, you know, Poolies that I've bought the books from in the past. So they've got an office here. The Elstree Aerodrome Cafe. And the tower. Let's turn the head tracking off so it's not distracting. It's very good, isn't it? There's a lot here, but the aeroplanes and the static parts tend to be quite, not very low resolution, but low enough that it's not going to murder the computer to render them. So it tends to remain very smooth. And they've really set up the load on demand really good. You know, or really well, I should say. So obviously it renders progressively more detail as you get closer. So it doesn't ruin your approach with, you know, making the simulator stutter as it loads tons more assets. As you can see, there's a lot of static aeroplanes parked here, various types. So I've not seen the 727 yet. I don't tend to be given pre-release versions of the big jets. I buy most, I know this always amazes people, but I tend to buy most of the assets for the simulator myself. I do have an agreement with Orbx where if I ask for something, they'll let me usually have a copy of it. But the turnaround time to do that is such that I don't tend to use that, how would you put it, that benefit. I tend to go and buy the stuff, and I like to support the companies anyway. So I like to pay back in or pay it forward, as it were. So usually, unless somebody approaches me offering me, you know, to say, here's the thing that's about to come out, would you like to feature it on the channel? Because obviously they're using me for marketing. Then I'll obviously do that for them. But typically I buy things myself because I like to support the people that have done all the hard work. And all it's really doing is paying back in the money I've made from YouTube, from the advertising, back into the creators. I think it's important to do that. Someone that's a bit more of a hard-nosed business person would probably say, why on earth do I buy things when I can get them for nothing? But I actually, you know, I like to support the creators. So yeah, Elstree's done really nicely, isn't it? It's very good. Right, so let's go and jump out of the sim, go back to the main menu quickly, and go and grab the version of the RV-14 that's got the TDS built into it. Did that actually register that click? Yes, it did. So yeah, I absolutely am planning to get the FSS 727. I think it's going to be great fun. And yeah, it's right in my wheelhouse with it being a bit more manual. I watched one of the videos a couple of weeks ago where one of the professional pilots was working through the flight management computer where you have to put the longitudes and latitudes in. That made me smile. So, oh hello, the Xbox controller is drifting. There we go. So we've got the, you'll see what I mean now. So we've got the Vans aircraft. Actually, look, I don't have the TDS. It's an extra add-on to do it. I don't have it installed. So we can't actually get a TDS. Shall we switch over to a different aeroplane? What should we use? Something stock for a change, maybe. The only problem with the high wing planes is when you're banking on approach, you lose sight of the airfield. We could go with a Coronado, maybe. What should we choose? Piper Archer, that will do, won't it? So if we go and put that on the ground at Elstree, actually what I need to do then is delete everything as far as Elstree from my flight plan. Export that as a PLN file. Come in here, press space twice, load from this PC, go to downloads, there's the flight plan from Elstree for the rest of the route. Put myself on the ground in one of the parking areas, set that as the departure. So gate 3 at Elstree in the Piper Archer and fly. This means I won't have an autopilot, but the little Piper Archer is great from Coronado. And I think we can switch in the TDS in it. So we're just loading back in at Elstree Aerodrome in the simulator, and we'll be back there very soon. I may go and stretch my legs for a minute and go make a coffee while we're sitting on the ground at Elstree before we get on with the rest of the route, especially as I won't be able to use autopilot with the Piper Archer. I just think it's a great looking little aeroplane. So I do get approached by the equipment manufacturers now and again. So for example, in the past, Toby reached out to me and they actually paid me to make a video showing off the Toby, of how it works, the Toby eye tracker. They've actually come back to me, so in the next month I will be making a retrospective with the Toby of, like, based on a year of using it, what I really think of it and how useful it is, and what the good points and the bad points are of it. So I will be showing the Toby eye tracker again in an upcoming video. So we had changed the weather, hadn't we, because it's a rubbish day today. Otherwise we won't get to see any of the airfields that we're wanting to visit. So we'll put that back on few clouds. So we've got the Archer up. So before we get going with it, I'll just stick the camera outside. And we'll be back in a moment with it. So I'm just going to go and grab a coffee. I'll put a notepad up on the screen, and you can see my notes about operating various planes. Whoops, we've lost notepad. So back in 5 minutes. Let's make it bigger. And we'll get rid of this. Taskbar settings. Taskbar automatically hide. Oops. I'll put that up there. Right, I'm just going to go and grab a coffee and then we'll go on with the rest of the route, looking at all these different airfields. See you in a minute. Right, I'm back. Haven't actually had a sip of the coffee yet. I've been racing around doing things. Excuse me. Okay, so we are in the Piper Archer 2 from Coronado to carry on with the journey. We're going to swap the radio kit out for the TDS, which you get to do a one-time deal, I seem to remember, in the... there we go, activate. So we just need to wait for it to boot up. It would be good if I turned some power on, really, wouldn't it? So we'll want some fuel as well for our journey. So we don't want a passenger. And we'll give ourselves enough fuel to easily do the rest of the journey. Okay, so batteries on. Let's lift the microphone away from my mouth so it doesn't pick up breath. We're using the left fuel tank. Alternators on. Mixture to rich. Crack the throttle open. Okay, anti-collision light goes to on, the nav lights can be rolled down to go on, avionics can come on, that should boot up the GPS, here it comes. Continue, 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 and has it got the flight plan that was told? No, it hasn't. That's great, isn't it? So thankfully it doesn't take long to program them. So we are at Elstree. So we're going to go EGSG after here. Stapleford. And then EGMT. Okay, so why has it not got EGMT Thurrock? I thought I'd installed it. Oh, maybe I've downloaded it and not installed it. Or maybe it's just not known to it. That's a bit of a strange one. We'll go off in the direction of it anyway. So, user identifier EGMT. Oh, so we can put custom ones in. This is really rather clever. So if we said our reference waypoint is Stapleford, EGSG, and we give it the distance and the radial. So it's an airport. So reference waypoint can be EGSG. Radial will be 131. I've never done this before. This is rather interesting. 131. Enter. And 10.5 nautical miles away. Create. And there we go, we've got a custom waypoint. Excellent. Then we're going to carry on down to Lydd, EGMD. Then over to Shoreham, EGKA, or Echo Golf Kilo Alpha. Then Solent, Echo Golf Hotel Foxtrot. And then Farnborough, Echo Golf Lima Foxtrot. We could have done this via Simbrief, of course. But that might have had problems with the missing airport as well, to be honest. And then Fair Oaks, Echo Golf Tango Foxtrot. Then Red Hill, Echo Golf Kilo Romeo. Echo Golf Kilo Romeo. Finally, Biggin Hill, Echo Golf Kilo Bravo. So quite a lot of airfields still to go and look at. come back, go to the map, and we should have a nice little view of where we are now. Okay, so let's put the yoke back in place. I'm going to change my controls so I can use the mixture on the other lever before we get going. So at the moment I'm using single engine with propeller. I've got single engine with mixture somewhere in here. There it is. I've just gone past it. It's just choosing which axes I'm using for which controls. So there we go. Come off the parking brake. I think there is a route down to the end of the runway through that path, but I'm not going to tempt fate and find out I reach a dead end, so I'll just backtrack along the runway. So Peter, he can come on. Lights can come on. Shouldn't need flaps for this runway. So full throttle. Coming up through 50 knots, 60 knots to gently rotate, and we're in the air. Say goodbye to Elstree. And we'll do a right turn out of Elstree. Cut the throttle back a bit. Pull the actually the mixture can stay on rich. We're below 3,000 feet. I keep forgetting we don't have a propeller now. So the nice thing about the TDS obviously is, look, you can see the aircraft in the middle of the display really clearly. You can also see it changes range automatically, and it shows features like VORs and other stuff. It's very, very good. And it's integrated with Navigraph, which is helpful. Which is why I'm wondering why Thurrock doesn't show up. Maybe Thurrock isn't in Navigraph. So what CDI mode are we operating in? GPS mode. So if we go and activate... Oh, we don't have autopilot, do we? Of course we don't. So we just have to trim the aeroplane out. Which isn't such a hard ship, and it actually means we're hand flying, which is more fun anyway. It just means I have to be strategic about when I have a sip of coffee. So we're heading from Elstree over to Stapleford now. So keep an eye on the map over here. This has got me wondering now, if we go and copy this flight plan to the clipboard and then go and open up Navigraph, I wonder if Navigraph has just not got Thurrock on it. So if we unload the current flight plan, do a new flight plan and paste our route in, get rid of the speed and altitude data. No, it's got EGMT, that's interesting. So why hasn't the TDS got it? interesting. So that's a really good point, actually. So if we pull up Echo Golf Mike Tango and open charts for it, has it got anything? No. So it hasn't got any charts for it, at least. What about Echo Golf Sierra Golf Stapleford? Open charts? No. Navigraph doesn't tend to have much on the smaller airfields, which is a bit of a shame usually. Should we dip down below this cloud? It's not very useful, is it? We could always have a look and see what the real weather is like. Let's go and put the, what's the weather doing? 230, 11 knots. The wind isn't too bad. So let's go and see. The trouble is the cloud base is probably going to be awful. Yeah, look. The weather today is not wonderful, but it does look better than, it looks more realistic than the fake preset weather. So maybe we fly the rest of this on live weather, just for the fun of it. So we'll see rain, we'll see wind, we'll see crosswinds. It'll be a bit more fun. And we can obviously, on Navigraph, we can open up the weather and show the radar weather, or the radar plot, I should say. So yeah, we've got the radar and cloud cover and wind barbs. We don't really want the wind barbs. So there isn't any actual rain about, it's just cloudy. Have we got the, I'll lead Peter heat now, won't I, if I've got real weather on. It's not a nice pleasant day anymore. I've always loved this aeroplane. I don't know why, there's just something about it. It's a proper aeroplane, isn't it? And it's hand flying. There's no excuses, it's just down to you and your joystick and rudder pedals and throttle. And it behaves really nicely. So, Stapleford is our next destination. Stapleford Aerodrome. So it's going to be a grass runway or airstrip with a road around the outside. So when we get a bit closer, we'll circle the airfield and have a look at it. Oh, it really is a low cloud base, isn't it? Hopefully when we get down closer to the coast it might clear a little. I doubt it though. I think the weather's just atrocious in the UK today. Should we have a look on windy.com on the internet? Clouds. Yeah, it's just cloud cover. The south coast isn't so bad. It's just good. We're just going to have a lot of cloud cover going on. That's where instruments come in, I guess. Let's open the throttle up a little bit. A bit pedestrian. It's proper murky, isn't it? And I guess it means if I'm forced to, I'll have to do some instruments. Oh, hello, Sim's frozen. It's done a lot today. There's definitely something going on with the servers. So yeah, there's almost an element of information overload sometimes on the TDS GTNXI. It's pretty good though. Okay, so fuel pressure's good, fuel left and right are good. Temperatures are good. Alternator's good. RPM is good. Probably pushing it a bit too hard, to be honest. I think it's about 2300 RPM is the optimum. This is a proper pea soup, isn't it? I'm starting to regret this, and it's getting worse. Let's go and calibrate the altimeter for the local barometric pressure just to see. Obviously it's changing as we're going into the weather. So there's the airfield. Recognise it. So if we go and look on the map, yeah, look. You can recognise the shape of it. So which way was the wind? Out of the west, 19 knots, oh my word. It wasn't as bad at ground level, so we're going to have a crosswind landing whatever happens. Let's go and get rid of this out of the way so we'll minimise what the simulator's doing. So we're going to be doing a crosswind landing at the other end. This seems a bit unfair because we've shown the other airfields on nice sunny days. This one gets to a nice grey, horrible, oppressive day. So we're losing speed as we descend. Almost want some lights on in here, don't we? It's so murky. Do we have some? Yeah, we do. Where's the floodlight up here? It's not very bright though. Have we got backlighting on the instruments? Is it on the other side of here? So vertically we're in the right place with Fassi. So we can play the game of lining ourselves up using the rudder and then just bank to translate the aircraft left or right. Actually, the wind isn't too bad at the moment.
500.
So without using the rudder, look, we're crabbing quite a lot to the right to hold the centre line. So what we can do is turn the aeroplane towards the centre line with the rudder and then just dip the right wing down. Oh, it's quite turbulent with that wind coming over the tree line. Okay, so we'll turn about, go and park somewhere, and then we'll have a nose around at the airfield. It looks quite busy over there, doesn't it? Landing light can come off. We'll park alongside this Cessna. Okay. Actually, I'm going to leave it running because I don't want to have to reprogram anything. So we'll leave it here. Maybe we let a bit of fresh air in while it's not raining. Where's the door that opens? This one. Okay, so this is Stapleford. Pretty cool, isn't it? Let's just get rid of the head tracking for a moment so we can do this without nodding around like a crazy nodding donkey. This guy has a dog. Is there a pit bull? Doesn't look like you want to mess around with it either, does it? So we got the flight simulation building at Stapleford. Interesting. Stapleford Flight Centre. Maintenance hangars. A valeting. Another hangar. The buildings on site. So over on this edge. Now this is probably down to a bug in the simulator that's not part of the scenery. Flight Simulator has a real problem with grass airstrips. I don't know if you've ever known about this, which is why I don't tend to go near them with a barge pole. Not with custom scenery anyway. It tends to duplicate. It has a problem with the layers with grass airstrips. I don't know whether they've ever addressed it or not. It may be a problem that's been fixed, but certainly it used to be a problem where you'd get the layers of grass airstrips would show through. So the original scenery would show up unless you removed all of the other scenery from the simulator, and then it would fix itself. But if you had more than one scenery in play for whatever reason, you can see it here, look. There's bits and pieces of, see the double lines? So the faded ones are the original ones from Flight Simulator, from its textures, and the updated ones are on top of them, but the faded ones are still showing through, and they shouldn't. And that's not a problem caused by the scenery developer himself. That's an Asobo problem. Okay, so there we go, Stapleford. Again, another really nice airfield, nicely made. So we'll jump straight back out to... Actually, should we use this grass strip? Which way was the wind? Let's have a look. No, we really do need to use the runway we're pointing towards, runway 21. Okay. So let's go and close that door. The Xbox controller is playing funny games with us. So let's go and lock. Is it going to let us lock it? It is now. Oh, that is latch. There we go. So, lights on. Head tracking back on. But yeah, I had quite an interesting discussion with a scenery developer about that bug with the grass airstrips. It's really annoying. So flaps are up, we shouldn't need them, we can just go flat out down here. We're already doing 60 knots, so we go a bit faster, 65, rotate. And we're in the air, let the aeroplane weathercock into the wind. Okay, so we're going to make a left turn towards Echo Golf Mike Tango. So let's have a little look on the map. Let's go and sort out a little nav map. So off to Thurrock, which for some reason the TDS knew nothing about, which is a bit of a mystery to me. See London off in the distance. Very cool. Right, I'm going to level out. I don't particularly want to get it up into the cloud too much. So if it's going to be 1,500 feet all the way, so be it. So the town we're about to pass over, well, it's the outskirts of between Brentford and Romford, isn't it? Let's see if we can level ourselves out and trim ourselves for level flight at 1,500 feet. London in the distance. You can see the Shard. You see the well, it's called the O2 Arena these days, but it was originally called the Dome. And the sun's coming out slowly, which is always good. We did know, didn't we, that the further south we went, we'd break out of this oppressive wall of murk, which would be quite cool. So, en route to Thurrock Airfield. Again, brand new one in the sim for me. I got it from Orbx yesterday. We're going to find out what it looks like. So we're about 2.5 minutes out at the speed we're going, so I'm going to have a swig of coffee. Turn the head tracking off. Topped up on coffee, and we're good to go again. So we should be able to see the airfield. So Thurrock is another grass field, so it's going to be interesting to see if it has any duplications in the grass or not. So we're right over it, and we've missed it. Okay, so we need to look at the wind. So runway 25. So what we'll do is, can we see it from out here? I thought I could see it. There we go. So we're going to loop around and then come in at the far end. So it has a very narrow asphalt surface runway and a very wide grass runway alongside it. And then a field with lots of GA aeroplanes parked up. fair amount to go look at when we land. And pylons to concern ourselves with as well.
.500.
Look at that wind pushing us. We're sliding away from the airfield there quite dramatically. So we want one red, one white light on the Vassis if we can. There we go. Gone too low. Whoa, that turbulence kick over the hedge was something else. So let's just let it drift down onto the runway. And taxi up to the main buildings. Park up with the rest of the GA aircraft. So put the flaps up. Yeah, look at that gusting on the windsock there. We'll go park in between these two over here, shall we? Or maybe at the back. Next to this Cessna. Again, we'll leave the engine running while we go and have a nose around the airfield. So this is Thurrock. So in the hangar here we have aeroplanes in various states of disrepair. And it could be the empty hangar. I guess you can play games with that hangar yourself if you wanted to. Oh my word, it's the airplane graveyard. Or the spare parts bin. Very cool. I love this sort of stuff in the simulator. Very, very cool. Okay, are they animated people or are they static? They are animated. Very cool. So we come round. Interesting building. I wonder what purpose it serves. Just a modern hangar, I guess. Or is it the owner of this house is incredibly wealthy and has a hangar on his house? Interesting. Is there any other structures? Let's go and have a quick look. So they've obviously modelled out some of the nearby houses as well. What about elsewhere around the airfield? It's just a field, isn't it? I guess we can scoot over quickly to this corner and see if this is part of the scenery as well. Looks like it may well be. There's a haulage yard. That's stuttering as it loads in the assets. Flight Sim's always had a problem with that, even right back before 2020. Okay. So let's go and have a look at the map, and before we take off, have a bit of planning this time. So we're going to be flying 40 miles via the Detling VOR down to Lydd. So 11730, should we do this via radio navigation, even though we'll have the GPS nav sat there? So if we go and change this over to VLOC, and we want this 11730. We'll do this via radio navigation for a change, eh? We got nav 1 up here. So we want the omni-bearing selector to be on about 148, 150 degrees. So let's go and do that. Okay, so when we get in the air, hopefully the nav radio will burst into life and amaze us with its accuracy. Right, head tracking is on. Now we need to go to the other end of the runway for the wind, don't we? So before we do anything, let's just taxi back down on the grass. Okay, so we're departing Thurrock for Lydd, down on the coast. It's a bit of a long stretch down to Lydd, but it shouldn't take too long. Landing light, come back on. And rotate. Say goodbye to Thurrock. And have we picked up the VOR yet? I think we would have, wouldn't you? We're in VLOC mode. Oh, did I try? Oh, sorry, I've tuned nav 2. I'm being an idiot. So 110.5. Oh no, it's already on nav 1 up there. Let me just double check it. So 117.3 for Detling. What am I doing? I didn't even transfer that one, did I? So that will work. So 117.3. 11730. Transfer to active. And we get, hurrah, a VOR radio. So 2 is working. So looking at the compass here, we're off to the right, so we want to be about 130 to get an intercept to 120. Will give us a 30-degree intercept angle for the course that we wanted. So we'll fly 120 degrees for a while. And just coming back in. Obviously we can see the track over here, which gives it away. But you can see the course deviation indicator for the omni-bearing selector at 150 is coming in. So we're all good. When it gets to the middle, we just change course for 150. Do a bit of radio navigation to break up the journey. Unfortunately, we don't have DME that's separate than the TDS. So we end up having to look at it, and then you obviously get to see the route. But this is modern hardware, and we have to go with it, really, don't we? So we're almost on the CDI now, so we turn right for 150 degrees. Now we just need to worry about the wind. Not the best weather today, is it? But I think dealing with the real weather, though, is a valuable thing to do rather than always putting it on sunny. It's quite often I do group flights in the evening, and they'll choose somewhere around the world, and everybody on the group flight, apart from me, will end up with like sunny weather or clear skies and, you know, lunchtime, and I'll be there in the middle of the night in a rainstorm, which was accurate. But I see that makes more of a challenge of it for me. So there's more to do, you know, more to think about. And it's a simulator. Why not challenge yourself instead of making it easy for yourself? Surely that's the whole point. Right, we're on our way down to Lydd. So we're going to cross over the River Thames in a moment. Oh, we already have. So this is the River Medway is coming up. So there's the Thames. We've just crossed over it behind us. It goes off into London City. This is the Medway, apparently. Coming up for 4,000 feet. We should really be leaning out then. Not that the Coronado will penalise you for incorrectly using the engine. They're not study level aeroplanes, they just look photographic, and they're very light on frame rate, which is always a plus. Yeah, and they look great. Okay, so you can see Lydd is slowly approaching in the distance. Echo Golf, Mike Delta. And that, you can see there the TDS unit zoomed in automatically for us. So just coming up for 4,000 feet. I'm going to trim this climb rate out of the aeroplane. I don't want us to be climbing anymore. Of course, as soon as you drop the nose, the speed builds up and the lift increases and you end up climbing again. So you can see we're obviously deviating from the Detling VOR here. Let's go and correct that. So we had ended up flying south instead of towards the VOR. So if we're going back to 120 degrees, then we will bring the CDI back in slowly on the nav instrument. So over here, see the line coming back in as we near the track, and the 2 will become from very soon. So we want to turn that back to 150. Basically we've overflown it. The closer you are to a VOR, the more extreme its responses are going to be to you navigating around it. So the CDI at the moment is off going behind us, so there's no point chasing it because we're almost on top of it. So we'll just carry on 150 degrees ish, and you'll see this will lose signal potentially very soon, and 2 will become from. We might even be able to spot it on the ground. If you look closely, sometimes you can see them. There'll be a circle cut from a field with it in the field. It's off of our right wing. There it is. That's the VOR. So as we get further away from it again, the CDI will come back in. So at the moment it's saying it was off to the right of us, which it absolutely was. And the CDI started to move. So we want, 148 degrees, so just inside, so we're not quite doing that. But close enough. You can see on the map what's going on. So if we were to turn right slightly, we'll intercept the bearing. If we wanted to find out the exact direction to get to Lydd, if we weren't so precious about the radial we want to come to Lydd on, we can just turn this. Of course this is from, sorry, I'm being a bit silly. So let's go and turn this away. So 125 degrees. So if we were to fly 125, we'll go directly away from our current position from the VOR we were travelling from. So I'll show you that on the map. It won't make any sense unless I show you this. So because we're travelling from the VOR, we've just done... the mouse is being a so-and-so. Although the plane's drifting, look. So we've done that. We told it to fly directly away from it. But what we want to do is actually go to Lydd, which we can't do that from that VOR. Yeah, it won't allow us, but we can fly that radial. So if we fly 148 degrees from that VOR, we'll end up over the top of Lydd. So we put the Omni bearing selector on 148 degrees, and then it tells us where we are in relation to that. So we're off to the left of it, which we know we are. So if we then go beyond 150 degrees, say 180, we'll intercept the 150 degree line. And then when we get there, the CDI will come in, and that will mean we are on the 150 degree line again. So just ignore the GPS and just watch the CDI. The aeroplane is trying to turn slightly with the wind, but we can deal with that. Can you see the CDI is moving? We increase that turn rate, so we go 190 degrees to increase the interception angle. You'll see the CDI coming even more quickly. Give it a few moments. We're not close enough to the line yet. So then the moment this comes towards the middle, we turn back to 150, meaning we are on, here it comes, meaning we'll be on the 150 degree radial at that point. Well, that's the theory anyway. I'm turning more and more steeply into it to get it to capture it. Yeah, I think we travelled quite a long way away from the radial. So just to give you an idea of what we're doing here, we're flying back towards the 150 degree radial from the VOR towards Lydd. And here comes the needle anytime soon, hopefully. Yeah, starting to move. So obviously when the needle is in the middle, we are on the 150 degree radial, so we have to be flying 150 degrees to stay on it. So we need to turn left when that comes into the middle. So we're getting closer. Something that's quite a good exercise to do sometimes is to move your view. So turn head tracking off, for example, and you can use the keys on the keyboard and do that and fly the aeroplane just using the instruments, which we can do now, look. So we're going to pull ourselves to a bit of a shallower intercept angle. So we're looking for 190 degrees. We've got vertical speed here, we've got altitude, so we're perfectly safe to do this. So we're watching that CDI come in. We don't need to see the map. We're trusting in the instruments. Okay, so we're almost on the 150 degree radial. So let's start turning left. So we're just using the attitude indicator to know that we're turning. Obviously you can watch the rotation of the compass as well. So we've turned a little bit too early. So, you know, we're going to be parallel to the 150 degree track. We're just to the left of it. So if we go and look on the map, you'll see that. Now that's interesting, look. So that just shows you the variability of VOR radios. Anyway, we can almost see Lydd in front of us. And it's lovely clear sky, so we don't need to be playing games with doing radio navigation. It'd be good to do an approach doing that though at some point, using ILS. I don't know if we've got any airfields coming up that have got ILS. I think they're all GA airfields. They're not. Although I say that, Lydd has got it, look. And it suits the weather as well. So 108.15. So let's go and tune in nav 1. So the omni-bearing selector, if you're tuned into ILS, won't mean anything, but we'll tune it in anyway just for reference. So 207 degrees. So about there. It doesn't really mean anything in terms of the aeroplane. But if you take into account where we are, if we were to suddenly fly this direction, so 90 degrees, let's do this as an exercise just to show you that it can be done. So we're going to turn to 90 degrees. So, at the moment, let's get the view in the right place as well. I want to go shift and do that. No, I don't. I want to go like that, then like that, and then like that. So you can see at the moment we need to turn to 210 degrees. That's the actual runway direction relative to us. Okay. We are above the glide slope and to the right of the glide slope. So we're going to descend. We're being thrown away around by the wind, which is going to make it more interesting. So let's get more of a view so we can't see the landscape around us. So let's go, if I can do this without it hurting us, there we go. So I'm descending, and you can see the glide slopes coming up. So at the distance we are from the airfield, we're just above the glide slope. So just above the vertical height we should be at this distance, but we're not lined up with the runway yet. So we're going to carry on flying about 110 degrees, which will intercept the runway direction. So we're now at the right height relative to our distance from the runway. And obviously that gets lower the closer you get. So we're just chasing it gently, holding our direction about 100, 110 degrees for this intercept on the map. So you form a picture in your head. So we know it's 210 degrees for the runway, so about 100 degree right turn. We know we're flying away from the airfield slightly. Here it comes. So we want 210 degrees. So we've gone over the runway direction. So we need to go beyond 210 degrees to get back on it. So the CDI is coming back in. Now we've got altitude, which will tell us how far away we are. So we want to go towards 210 degrees now, look, because remember the wind may be pushing us though, so we'll just do this a bit at a time. So holding 220 degrees seems to be holding the crosswind off us. So it's a bit of a juggling act of figuring out what direction will work. So then you know on a 2.5 degree glide slope that 8 miles is 2,500 feet. So you can work out from that what your altitude is over the floor. I'll suddenly look up in a minute and you'll hopefully see the runway not far away from us. So I'm just coming back in towards 210 degrees because we've gone off to the right of the glide slope. The localizer, sorry. And we're being thrown around a fair bit, so we're chasing it a certain amount. So we're getting quite low. I'm going to look up now. Ready? Go. There's the runway. So the ILS is slightly offset, which is why we're not perfectly lined up. And that's very common. So you'll notice here, look, we're lining up with the runway, but the ILS is off to one side. Let's lose some speed.
500.
So then you just try to hold the PAPI lights. Do they agree? They agree with the glide slope. Look, you can still see the glide slope there. The closer you get, the more it will react to your position. Because you're effectively flying down a cone, if that makes sense. Look at that. Look at it bouncing. Because we are bizarrely accelerating. I'm having to hit the brakes. We were on the point of flying and not slowing down. It's the first time I've seen the sim do that ever. So the wind down the runway was hitting us and pulling us into the air again. So we're going to go and have a nose around Lydd in a moment. Obviously, if you're going to do instrument flight properly, you need the chart, because then it will tell you if it's offset, so you know what to expect. And you know what the minima would be. So you can't always follow an ILS down to the ground. Okay, we'll leave the engine running and we'll straighten our camera up and we'll go and have a look around Lydd Airport. Lydd Aero Club. It's quite a big building here, isn't it? So have they put animated people in here as well? Yes, they have. Very cool. There's cafe, fire station. I'll turn off the head tracking while we're doing this. Big old hangar over here that's going to have a nose around inside it, see what's in there. So various different Cessnas and Pipers and so composite, is that oh, I've forgotten what the code number is, DA something or other. There's so many different variants of them, it's difficult to keep track. So there's another hangar over here. Let's go and have a nose around in it, see what's inside it. Yeah, another, is it a DA40 or DA20, something like that. Another Cessna. So, Bristow Search and Rescue, HM Coast Guard. Interesting. I love the attention to detail of things like this, where they've got service hangars with all the kit inside them. With the helicopters. Very good. Okay, so over in the middle of the airfield we've got the tower. They appear to have Commodore pets in the tower, or something like that. Built on top of a couple of storage containers. Interesting. Okay, back towards our aeroplane. Go this one, weren't we? I was looking for the Vans RV-14 then and forgotten that we hadn't got it, that we'd switched aeroplanes. Okay, so that was Lydd Airport. We're now going to be flying quite a long way along the coast. We'll fly along the coast, I guess, past Hastings, Eastbourne, to Shoreham. So at least we'll have something to look at along the way. What's the wind doing here on the ground? 18 knots from the southwest at Lydd, so we need to go back onto runway 21. So there is a taxiway. It wasn't marked on our map, but there is a taxiway to take us to the other end of 21, which is good. Oh, that wind is really trying to weathercock the aeroplane. Looks like I need to do a refresh on Little Nav Map to make it pick up the details of the new airports that I've installed. It doesn't have the detailed taxiways. If you do a load database in Little Nav Map, it'll have a look and pick up the layouts for you. How are we doing for fuel, by the way? Left fuel, right fuel, yeah, we need to switch tanks really in a few moments, so I'll wait until we're off the ground, until I've got the aircraft stable. Okay, we're using the right tank now for a while to rebalance them. So if you're wondering about these odd buildings out on the coast down here, I'll show you on the map what it is. It's Dungeness. So it's a power generating facility at Dungeness. Right, so we're going to follow the coast out to Shoreham, wasn't it, we said? So we don't really need to navigate too much. There is the Seaford VOR over there, but we don't really need it. So we can go and put this back on GPS on the CDI mode. And the weather has cleared, amazingly. So that really horrible, murky, low cloud level we had half an hour ago is gone. We've got a beautiful day along the coast. trying to figure out what that is. It's either a small boat travelling at speed or something surfacing. I didn't think they'd programmed anything like that into the sim yet. Or it's a graphical anomaly. Do you know, I might have to go and have a look. Curiosity has got the better of me.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull
No, it was a small boat. It was just on the limits of the resolution.
Sink rig. 500. Terrain ahead. Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain
We'll just
ahead.
ignore the tours
Pull
messages.
up. Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Too low. Terrain.
Yes,
terrain
I know.
Ahead. Terrain ahead. Too low. Terrain.
Should we inhibit tours for the rest of the flight? Okay. Off along the coast. Let's get the airplane trimmed out. So Canberra will be the first village or town, and then Fairlight, Hastings, Bexhill, Eastbourne and Seaford. How's the RPM doing? We're really pushing it, aren't we? And it doesn't really matter with the Coronado aeroplanes because you can't damage them really. It's just I don't like flying aeroplanes incorrectly, if that makes sense. Or too incorrectly. There should be at least some effort to drive the aeroplane. Oh, look at the wind pushing the turbines today. It's really going for it, isn't it? Should we turn some of the other air traffic on? Because I don't think I've got it on. So we've got no contrails in the sky or anything that's appearing. So let's go into traffic and put real-time online. Airport vehicle density, ground aircraft density, that can stay off. And actually no, we'll turn it up to 50 and apply that. Should we go and turn on multiplayer? I turned it off earlier because I thought it might distract from the airports, but now we're doing these long legs. I'm not so worried about it. So we should start seeing some contrails around us. It's stuttering badly because it's loading assets in the background. And starting up things like aeroplanes in the sky near us. So you'll probably start to see a few contrails appearing. Famous last words. Yeah, there's a light up there, look. So if we go and turn on labels, start to see a few people nearby. Obviously there's a lot over London, there's always a lot of people over London. In fact, if we change servers and use Western Europe, I guess, or North Europe, West Europe will do, and close and resume, it will probably load in with a load more. So we'll start to see the names appearing as it synchronizes with the server. let's turn the labels back off. Maybe the weather's obviously just not appropriate for contrails to appear today. If we were to run FSLTL in the background, interesting, have I not got it installed at the moment? Oh, okay, I haven't got it installed at the moment. Because that would inject a lot more air traffic in. We can see it on the little nav map actually. If it's putting the real air traffic in, we can see the the orange aeroplanes are the AI aircraft. I don't want to go much more than 2,000 feet up. I'd rather stay fairly low so we can see the ground along the way. So I'm just fixing that. Okay, we have 2,000 feet. Of boats out there this afternoon, I should say. It's not the evening just yet. So Shoreham is next. Should we tune into the Seaford VOR just for a bit of fun along the way? 11700. So we'll put this back onto VOR mode and we want 11700 transfer, and that should light up. And there it goes. So the direction to the VOR from us is 250 degrees. We are flying 260 degrees, so it's out there. It's 10 degrees off our nose. So we'll just carry on along the coast. You can see it comes up with the code here, SFD and VOR. Clever unit. It really is. Seem to be attracting all of the boats today. So further out to sea you'll see fishing boats and cruisers and tankers and things, because I've got the yeah, you can see them out there in the shipping lanes. I've got seafront simulations add-ons installed to provide some boats. So does this actually have a hidden autopilot? I'm just wondering. No. Sometimes the aircraft have hidden autopilots, sometimes they don't. Or they'll have something crazy like, you know, being able to open a panel that will have something hidden inside it. But I think Coronado don't tend to play those sort of games. Okay, we're getting a bit low. Somebody's got the strobes on out there. We can see them. Look. Very cool. Oh, if we turn labels on, we'll find out who that is. So it's EZ8318, EasyJet. Okay, so we're coming along the seafront here at Hastings and Bexhill. Okay. So let's go and scoot across the cockpit to the co-pilot side. Should we go and scare the life out of these day trippers in their expensive margarine tub?
$500.
Okay, so to kind of speed this up a bit, otherwise we're going to be up here for hours going in between these longer waypoints. I'm going to go to Slough to get us in the ballpark for Shoreham. We'll stop along the way to look at some of the places, so you can see the scenery generation or not generation, the loading of the scenery catching up with us. So I'm just slowing us down a little bit. There's Eastbourne, so we'll stop at the various places along the way to have a look. You can see it stuttering as it loads assets in. So there's all the £1 million beach houses. It's great how the photogrammetry is accurate enough to get all the breakwaters. Okay, so let's go and engage Slough again.
Toss not available.
I'm going to go for Shoreham. No, something's stuttering, so it's probably loading Shoreham in. Sea Haven, just gone past. So this is Brighton we're just coming up to, so I thought it might be worth slowing down here to have a look at it. Slipping us in so we can come along over the boats and have a look at them. So Seafront Simulations will have put a million boats in the harbour at Brighton, and there's the Brighton pier we can see out in front of us as well.
500.
So let's do this from outside. So that's the difference that Seafront Simulations makes to it. It's putting all of the boats of their masts into the harbours. But then Brighton itself has had a bit of a job done on it as well. Whoa, it seems about to crash. Or not, it's just being overloaded, isn't it? Let's stop jumping around the views and stop maybe slowing for a while. It's Brighton Pier. So there's some sort of viewing thing here with a platform that raises and lowers. Never noticed that before. Okay, let's have a look at the map. So we're only a few miles out, about 6 miles out from Shoreham. Which way was the wind? 17 knots from the southwest, but what's the wind on the ground at Shoreham? 230 degrees, 14 knots. So yeah, it means we're using runway 20. So let's turn. Look at it stuttering. It's trying to load assets quickly. So you can see the airfield over there. We're just making our way over to approach runway 20. So this version of Shoreham I acquired from Orbx. I'm not sure who the developer is. It may well be Burning Blue. We'll find out. Or it would be easy enough to find out online, wouldn't it? We could open up Orbx Direct and just go and search for Shoreham. And they credit the developers on the product pages. Sim is struggling, isn't it? I have a feeling it's because of aircraft. If I go and turn off, and again, it's going to stutter when it puts aircraft on the ground. I'm going to turn the aircraft ground models off. And I'm going to turn off the multiplayer again, and it will fix it. It will stop stuttering. Yeah, look, it's gone super smooth instantly. It's a shame, isn't it? Hopefully they'll fix a lot of these things in 2024. So whenever it's loading assets for other people's aircraft, for example, it kills the process that the simulator is running under. It causes the stutters. Okay, so this will be interesting. I've not seen a payware version of Shoreham before. So as I said, this is the version you can get from Orbx. It'd be interesting to me to see how different it is to the stock version. So flaps to 50%. Full flaps.
$500.
Bit too slow. Or it was just a gust of wind that caused us to appear to be slow. I think it was just turbulence that did it. It caused the stall warning to blip. Yeah, because we weren't too slow at all. Okay. Let's go and have a look and see what they've done with Shoreham then. So we just have to taxi in. Windsock's going some, isn't it? So I think the main parking area is over by the tower, isn't it? All the way into it. I seem to remember watching a video of this a long time ago. It's got like a 1940s main building that's been preserved. Yeah, look at that. Art Deco. Very cool. We'll have a good look around it in a moment. So we'll park in between these Cessnas. Okay, we'll leave it running. Just trying to straighten up the drone camera. It's very cool, isn't it? So is this high enough resolution to actually be able to read it? This memorial is dedicated to all British Commonwealth and Allied servicemen and women who gave their lives during the First and Second World Wars. We will remember them. The propeller is from a B-26 Martin Marauder bomber, which came down in the English Channel, June 1944. Very cool. Okay, so let's go and have a look around the airfield. This is Shoreham. So I guess Shoreham became unwittingly famous because of the there was an air show crash here many years ago. A Hawker Hunter was being demonstrated, and the pilot did some sort of 3D aerobatic manoeuvre and didn't anticipate how much height or how little height he had, how much he would need, and pancaked the Hunter into the dual carriageway alongside the airfield and killed several people in cars, obviously, as well as himself in the aeroplane. Just to give you some idea. So here's the actual airfield. I think it was somewhere along that road that he hit the ground. This is really suffering, isn't it? Since I turned the aircraft on earlier, it's absolutely murdered the simulator. It's really nicely done, isn't it? There's a lot of it here, but it does kill the frame rate. That's the only downer with it, because there is so much of it. You can see the frame rate has decreased markedly. Right, let's go back to our aeroplane and we'll see about carrying on with our journey. Now, I seem to remember the taxi route out to the airfield, or to the runway, goes right the way around the outside of the airfield. But we'll follow it. fun to do it. Yeah, look at the frame rate has dropped through the floor. That's ever since I turned on multiplayer aircraft. We were fine until then. And it hasn't recovered from it. We are going the right way, I promise. It's just a bit of a trek out to the runway. Whoa, let's see if we can stay on the taxiway first, hey? So David is asking in the live stream comments, where are we? We're at Shoreham on the south coast of England. So we're exploring some of the pay-ware airports that you can get around the south coast of England. Most of them I've acquired from Orbx. Some of them have come from Pilot Plus. Or the south coast, not really, the south of England. So we've been flying all over the place. Okay, so we're back on the runway, pointing the right way for the wind. Oh, I wonder if using slew caused the frame rate to tank. Or if it is just Shoreham. It might just be Shoreham that's doing it. Okay, so we carry on along the coast. And that will take us past Worthing and Bognor Regis over to Solent Airport, which I think I've featured before in and of itself. So I'm tempted to hit slew again because we're really interested in seeing the airports. I guess some people might like seeing the scenery as well. Though it's fairly flat around here. It's just lots of little seaside towns. So we're just coming past Worthing. Should we do this from outside? Yeah, since we got away from Shoreham, the frame rate has improved dramatically, so it must be something about the airfield. This isn't the fastest aeroplane in the world, is it, to do this? We could have included Goodwood, of course. I've got Goodwood installed. Add to flight plan. Goodwood. Let's go and visit Goodwood. Or at least circle over it. Although there's probably going to be some historic stuff there, so we need to introduce it into the flight plan in the aeroplane, don't we? So let's go back out of here. Flight plan. So we're going from Shoreham to Leon Solent, or yes, Solent as it's called. So if we go into here and insert before and put the CAO code for Goodwood in, so Echo Golf Hotel Romeo. Let's stop the aeroplane turning first. Echo Golf Hotel Romeo. Enter. Come back out, go to the map, and we've now got Goodwood. If we go CDI mode back to GPS, it will zoom on the next leg. Do we have to activate the appropriate leg? That's interesting, it hasn't got the leg. Let's go back. Flight plan. So we want Goodwood. Activate leg. Okay. Back. Map. There we go. So just coming in over the fields towards Goodwood. It shouldn't take too long. The aeroplane keeps trying to weather vane, which is not fun. It's trying to turn itself into the wind. So the nice thing about the TDS unit is, it, like I said earlier, it superimposes the dotted lines of the runway vectors, so you can see where you need to line up with. But obviously it doesn't show you the wind on site, so we can hover over Goodwood and we get a METAR report. So 230 degrees, 13 knots. Yeah, it's doing it again, look. Which would support landing on runway 24. So we'll continue on across this way, and then when we get a bit closer, we'll obviously be able to see it. Maybe the sim's just complaining because it's been running for too long. I wouldn't be surprised. Because the wind is having its way slowly. It's hitting the tailplane and rotating the aircraft into the wind. Oh, I remember earlier we were talking about the air temperature. There's the dial, it was right in front of us all along. So, you know, to decide if you need pitot heat on or not. I think it's about 10 degrees is kind of the... Some aircraft say 4 degrees, some say 10. It depends, I guess, on the trending direction of, and you know, the meteorological conditions as well. Dew point, that kind of stuff. So this says we are 2.5 minutes away at the speed we're doing. We're wanting to come in runway 24, so we're just going this way and then we'll turn in for 24. So the field's down here, you can see it. So let's start descending. So 90 degrees from us, so that's runway 24. Yeah. It's all grass runways at Goodwood. There's a racetrack around the outside of the runways with racing cars racing around it. So we'll get to see that when we get a bit closer. So obviously a visual approach. I don't like in the arrow actually, when you press F12 for head tracking, you're sat. I think it's because it's like a slightly wide angle view. It doesn't seem cramped enough. You'd think it would be more like that, wouldn't you? This is such a common thing you see with add-on scenery now and again, where particular hangars will not be relating to the level of haze in the air or reacting to it. So however they are configured to do that, sometimes they get missed, and yeah, it makes them stand out on a dull day.
$500.
So what are we going to get parked at Goodwood then? What are we going to find? Whoa, something's loading in and the throttle just glitched. Okay, let's go and have a look around. And straighten the camera up. It drives me mad that the drone camera slowly rotates on its axis. It's absolutely insane that it does it. I'm trying to turn the head tracking off. There we go. So, what's here at Goodwood? that's absolutely murdering the frame rate for some reason. I think this is just the simulator is slowly falling to bits while we're doing the flight. So I might have to call it here at Goodwood, because it has been degrading slowly. Yeah, and I turned aircraft off, look, and there's something up there. We've still got traffic going on. Shall we have a look? Did I didn't turn off the yeah, I've got the real-time online traffic on. Apply, go back, resume. I wonder if it will affect this frame rate. Not really. Yeah, I think I may have to call it here at Goodwood and not go much further, because, and maybe do the other airfields as separate videos, because this isn't fair to the developers. The sim is falling to bits as we watch. It's stuttering really badly, and it doesn't normally do that. Something has broken inside it while we've been flying. So maybe I'll come back to Goodwood separately, because it'd be a shame though, because it's got some warbirds here. So maybe I bring the live stream to a close here, and we come back to Goodwood in a special video, and the subsequent airfields in separate videos. So let's at least go and shut the aeroplane down properly. And avionics can come off. And power off, max off. Doesn't take long, does it, in this aeroplane? And let some air in. Oh, that's a shame. But yeah, the sim is obviously, the machine needs a reboot, I guess. The sim has had enough. You can see the frame rate is absolutely cratering, even with everything switched off. Oh well. We've still got quite a long way though, so we visited during the day Turweston, Kidlington, and let me go and turn these aeroplanes off, they're in our own way now. Wycombe Air Park, and then Denham, and Elstree, and Stapleford, and Thurrock. Then we flew all the way down to Lydd, and then along the sea to Shoreham, and then we've ended up at Goodwood. Yeah, it's just a shame that the last couple of airports we visited, the frame rate had just dropped through the floor. Not entirely sure why. So hopefully you've enjoyed that, and I'll be back at some point soon to look at some of the others. So it'll be really interesting to get a good look. We've seen Solent before, but to get a good look at Farnborough and Fair Oaks and Red Hill and Biggin Hill. I've shown Biggin Hill before as well, but I've not shown Red Hill before, or Farnborough, so they're going to be interesting to go look at. Okay, hopefully you've enjoyed that so far today, and I'll be back fairly soon. So take care, and I'll see you again soon.